Hi, everybody. Welcome, and thanks for joining me this afternoon. And I love it when you join me live, and I also love it when you invite a friend and ask me questions and comment and give me a shout out about my content. See if there's something in particular that you would like to know more about. And at the end of my little Facebook chat today, I'm going to give you some resources. Always have lots of resources for you. So thanks for joining me this afternoon. And probably maybe you're like me. I'm a little discouraged about what's going on around us now. I'm a little disappointed. Things were so positive, and now it seems to be turning around. And not all the news is good news, except I have some good news for you. The good news is that we've learned a lot. We know some things, and we know some really important, foundational, easy things to help us all stay healthy as we face maybe yet some more uncertainty. So that experience can really help us a lot. And the information that I'm sharing with you today is so new. It literally is addressing the variant. I don't want to say anything more about it, but it's very, very current. And I'm happy to give you my resources when we're finished. So it's important to understand that we know how to take control now. It's important to know the really foundational things on what we can do to protect ourselves and stay healthy. And I'm going to give you a few of those today. So we're going to talk about some tips on self-care. So whatever you think about self-care, I used to think about self-care could be equated to pampering. I didn't really necessarily make time for it, and I didn't necessarily understand what the importance was. And so let's take away the terminology and let's talk about taking care of you care. And let's have a little mindset on what this really means. And I'm going to share a few little simple things with you today. Some of them we've talked about before, but it's more important than ever because we've heard them and we know how to use them to really help ourselves as we face a little bit more uncertainty. So, number one, let's talk about stress. We know that there are some very simple signs that indicate we are stressed, and you know them. And I am one of the guiltiest people in the world. I just go very hard all day long. I'm very busy. And I don't always recognize that stress is creeping in. My husband, however, is very good at pointing that out. So, in terms of self-care, you need to understand when that stress factor is overloading you. And here's some examples on how to detect that. Are you avoiding friends? Are you avoiding talking to people? Are you really stressed in traffic? Do people annoy you? Yes, they do. Are you getting headaches? Are you getting stomach aches? These are all some early signs that you may not realize it, but you're beginning to deal with an overload of stress. And that is very important because stress can affect your immunity, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So de-stress a little bit, however you need to do it. If you're in the car, if you're home, take a short walk, figure out some things that you can incorporate to really help you de-stress. Second thing on this list today is really one of my pet peeves, and that's really the importance of your sleep. Not only your mood, but your immune system really relies on good sleep. And when it comes to your health and well-being, sleep can answer a lot of questions, and it needs to be good quality sleep. It's because your immune system is running all day long to fight infection, and it needs to run at night to regenerate, to recoup. There are parts of the body's immune response that only happen during sleep. And the scientists know that it is one of the top ways that we can help reduce stress. But on the other hand, sleep deprivation can make us more sensitive to the effects of stress and ramp up our actions and our overactions. And also, the brain really, really needs this recuperative time in order to function better. Without it, without good sleep and without a resting brain, you are more likely to be less patient and you make poor decisions, and you're more likely to be moody and irritable and emotional. And heaven knows we all need to be really in control these days, all the time. So here's another little thing I want to touch on today. When we get in these situations, and we may be facing one where we need to be a little more protective and staying at home, we have a tendency to snack. So I'm going to give you a little rule here. If you have a tendency to snack, try to snack. What this research says is intuitive snacking. It's not as much of a diet as it is a way of eating that gives your body what it needs when it needs it. It's not restrictive, it's just tweaking that to give you calories that are really healthy for you. And it's the practice of listening to your body and paying attention to what you're about to put in it. So if you're feeling hungry, you need to just stop the automatic eating. And there's some ways to do that. If you're ordering meals or when you're shopping, really think about those things. And we all know the worst things to snack on is sugar, caffeine, and carbs, because they give you more of a high quickly, and then you have a crash. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute on how to avoid that. We're going to touch on caffeine for a minute. Boy, caffeine is a go-to, isn't it? All day long. It is so bad for you. Caffeine is one of the most researched substances with more than 10,000 studies, according to the Food and Chemical Toxicology Association, who publishes a lot of studies. And it's also, these studies have led to some conclusions that you really need to understand. And it's very consistent. Too much caffeine can lead to really bad effects. And here are some of the conclusions. A guideline. If you're consuming more than 400 milligrams of coffee every day, it's very, very bad for your health. It can affect your central nervous system, your gastrointestinal and digestive system, from top to bottom. Your sleep quality for sure. It can also increase anxiety and stress. So here's a little way to measure that if you don't know what you're consuming. Half of this amount in this study, which would be 200 milligrams of coffee a day. 200 milligrams of coffee a day is 2.5 espresso shots from Starbucks, or a Red Bull or a Monster drink. And we know we don't want to be drinking those. And those are 200 milligrams. A typical Starbucks cup of coffee is about 65 milligrams. So if you're consuming any of these things that I mentioned above and having some of the symptoms that I mentioned, you may really be doing some serious damage to your health. And touching on the snacking for a minute, if you can snack on something that's a high protein snack and stay away from sugar, carbs, and caffeine, you'll be much better off. It satiates you for a longer period of time. And it really will give you less of those cravings, less of that attraction to going to the refrigerator and reaching for chocolate and reaching for whatever else is there that really is the worst thing that you can really be doing for your health. So a high carb, high protein snack is really good for you. And a couple of other little things on this protein and healthy snacks. Certain foods can actually have a stress lowering effectiveness. Some of these we already kind of know, but seriously, a soup or a tea can be very soothing. Snacks that contain omega-3s, like avocados, nuts, and dark chocolate is on the list as long as it's in moderation. Other foods that are whole grain, like bananas, oranges is on the list. And here's a little trick that I will share with you that I do. Water can actually be a good way to snack. I like a protein drink, and I drink a lot of water, but I get tired of plain water, and so I just put a slice of something or anything in my water, and it just kind of kills that little thing going on in your stomach and in your throat as telling you that you're really hungry. And last thing I want to touch on is movement, and we know it is so foundational. So it comes under the heading of self-care because it really is something that you can do for yourself. So if you're not a fitness person, then find ways to move. If you don't want to go to the gym or you don't want to go to a class, there is a ton of free exercise routines on YouTube. Anything that your heart desires. You don't even have to have really cool workout clothes. You can do it at home. So yoga is one of my very favorite things because yoga, along with the practice of yoga, really is very relaxing and helpful for mindfulness. All those things are very easy to do at home. Walk the dog, walk in the neighborhood, visit a neighbor. All those things are really easy to do, and you don't have to be someone who goes to the gym. And all these things are in this self-care program that really is about you and your health. One more thing I want to touch on before I say goodbye for today. This whole idea of boosting your immunity. If you have a tickle in your throat, if you have symptoms of something coming on and you run to the store and you buy Zicam or a lot of something, vitamin C or zinc, whatever, it's too late. It's just too late. Those are warning signs that your immune system is already looking for help. So what do you do about that? You need to be doing something every single day. And yes, this is self-care. Protecting your immune system, protecting your immunity now. We don't know what's out there. Just like we thought COVID-19 was kind of the end of the story, well, it's not. And who knows what is going to be on the horizon, because in the fall we'll be also facing flu. So here's some basic ingredients to look for. Now, I have a product that combines all of it in a little tiny elderberry scoop, and I can put it with anything. And lately I've doubled up. But it is vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, fermented yeast, and some elderberry. Now, these ingredients are very simple, but I promise you, if you go out and buy all of them, you'll drive yourself crazy. And you don't know how to take them. So it might be a good idea to really think about something that's already the daily recommended allowance of the ingredients that we know are the most researched, the most recommended, and the most recognizable and the easiest to take when you're talking about your immunity support. Instead of waiting and rushing out to the store, I just want to tell you one thing that's a real pet peeve of mine. Do you know how long that stuff's been sitting on the shelf? When was the last time somebody ran in there and wanted to pick up a package of zinc or I don't know, any of these things? It's just something you really need to think about, because we're talking about immunity here and we're talking about some really serious things. So I'm happy to share my information with you. The article that I am using today, every single section in this article cites another research paper. So it's full of research. I'm going to post this on my YouTube channel under my name if you want to review it again or share it with a friend. I am always happy to share my information. I also am happy to share resources with you. I subscribe to some free newsletters, and they are free. Mayo Health, Harvard Health, WebMD, and Everyday Health. Now, they all use their own research, but they're also citing research that comes from the top research universities and institutes that you're going to recognize right away. So, good news is you have tools and you can use them. The bad news is you need to start if you haven't started already. So thanks for joining me today. I hope we have some good news next time, and always reach out and ask me questions. Thanks, everybody.